Hey, Alexandra.
Hi, Leah. It's such an honor to talk to you today. You've been in charge of casting so many prestigious projects and feature films.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate I appreciate the compliment.
Now, when you're casting for something that is based on real life, like Manhunt, how
Mhm.
important is it to match the historical person's looks?
I think the looks obviously you want to cast someone that bears some resemblance. Do you know what I mean? You want to
Hmm.
cast someone that has some sort of feature that may look like the real character, or the real person that you're casting. Um, but I think most important is to to find the essence of the person that we're trying to cast.
What was the most difficult role to cast for Manhunt?
It was challenging all the way around for me. It was really challenging because it's such an historical part of our history. It's such a monumental moment of our history, and you want to get it right. I was working for mm, Apple TV for the first time. I was working with a new showrunner for the first time, new producers for the first time. Um, and with all these first times, you definitely, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. I think I put more pressure on myself than what was expected, but you do it because you want to get it right. I think all of the roles were being a Black casting director and casting a predominantly white cast. Um, was a challenge just in itself. Um, but I think the role that we had, like that we were constantly auditioning and reading and meeting with, was Booth. Booth was probably the one that we spent the most time on.
I could see that
Hmm.
because people know what he looks like, but not as much as they know what Lincoln looks like. So,
Right. Exactly. And it's just like I think like all of those characters, like for me when I was when we were casting the project, myself and my associate Christy Holiday, when we were casting, we had pictures of the real people that we were trying to match just so we could get constantly have that identification in front of us while we are pre-reading or with the producers, just so we could get some idea of what that really felt like. It was tough. It was tough, but one of the most rewarding projects that I've cast to date.
now with actors uh, doing self tapes now, and also doing virtual kind of auditions, does that make it more difficult for you as a casting director?
It's like a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? I think the the good part of it is you get to see and meet so many more actors than you would normally, or at least pre-pandemic. I see far more actors than I did before. You have this like short window of time to audition actors generally during the day, when we were in person and doing live auditions. And it's funny because you never really, I mean, old school, when back in the day when we had tapes, we would literally, an actor would, or a casting director in another area would actually tape the actor and they'd have a full session and then they'd overnight us the VHS tape, and we'd have to then put it in and watch it with the producer. Sometimes they made copies that we would send out, but it was a much longer process. And so we never really, the taping process was, was, um, a lot more challenging than it is now, uh, then we got to the point where the cassettes got smaller. So it was a little easier. But I think by the time, the pandemic rolled around, it was just like trying to figure out how we were going to get, I'm sorry, how we were going to get, um, you know, the recorded auditions, and just figuring that all out. It is, it's I I would never want to go back to 100% in-person auditions, only because I feel like there are so many other people that would probably fall through the cracks.
Well, casting is such an important part of a production. I mean, you cast the wrong person and it could throw the whole thing off. How important is it for you that the Academy is finally planning to have an Oscars category for casting directors?
It this it was probably the most exciting news that I've heard. I've been casting since like 1990, 1991, so a fairly long time. And I remember the casting directors, Kim Harden and Jackie Brown, who I, was working with at the time. This has always been a conversation that they used to talk about, but it was just so um, far from reach that I don't think I expected to see it um in my career. I really didn't. And so I just thank our governors that we have now, and the prior governors, because I know everybody really worked hard for that. And it's very exciting, and yeah, I'm very, very excited about that.
Yeah, I think it's great and so important. I mean, they
It
do it
is.
for songs and for all kinds of other things, but the casting is really so important in a film or a TV series.
It is. And you think about it, it's just like you celebrate everyone that is a part of that process. Do you know what I mean? You celebrate the actor, you celebrate the music, you celebrate the costumes, you celebrate the hair, and you celebrate the makeup. You celebrate all these different editing, like all these things, but you don't even not to acknowledge the people that are very like the very essence of putting what you're celebrating out. It always seemed like a little imbalanced to me.
Yeah.
But I'm just finally glad that they got it right, and that I'm around to see it.
And one final question. Do you have any advice for actors who are preparing for an audition for you now or in the future?
Yes, don't be afraid to ask questions. Um, don't be afraid to um if something doesn't like resonate with you, it's okay to say, you know what, this is not for me. And 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 not be afraid that you won't be considered for something else. Um, as a performer, if something sits with you, if something, if there's a role that you connect to. And if you don't, it's okay to say no. And I think a lot of times, especially new actors or up and coming actors, they just want to act, so they'll take anything, and that's okay you know if you're just trying to sort of get your feet wet. But everything ain't for you, so you don't have to try to do that you know just so you can say that you have like a job. You know what I mean? I think that it's more important to resonate with the role than it is to just do it because it's there, or you have the opportunity to do it, if that makes sense.
Totally. I want to thank you so much for chatting with me today. I learned so much from you. I've never spoken with a casting director before about their
Oh, thank you.
and but I know that actors are very intimidated by casting directors, and you are so charming and so lovely, and it's been so great to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alexandra. I appreciate this, and have a wonderful afternoon.
You too. Thanks for watching. If you're new here or if you're returning but you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, tap it now, plus the notification bell in the top right hand corner so you don't miss out on any new celebrity interviews. Also, hit the like button and tell me below in the comments, what are your favorite shows or movies? Who are your favorite stars? I can't promise anything, but I'll keep them in mind for future interviews.